Do you have a story to share with the world? Of course you do. We all have stories to share. An Anchor podcast allows you to share your interests in a way that connects to others all across the globe. If you have been considering starting your own podcast and don't know where to begin, Anchor makes it easy to record, edit, and publish with the click of a button. You can even add music. Whether it's crime dramas, self-improvement, paranormal adventures, or tips about parenting, you too can share your unique imprint on the world. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. You've got this. I believe in you. Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya, and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tools and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. We are going to dive a little bit into some advanced healing technologies. And I have Alex Urbina with me today. And I probably just butchered that a little bit, but I met Alex at a retreat here in North Washington. I think it was back in the summer of 2020, I believe. And he came and sat down next to me and we just started chatting, and he started sharing with me how him and his wife were looking into some of this neat technology that is helpful in healing. And I was so intrigued by it. And here we are a few years later in the summer of 2020, and I asked him to come on my show. So Alex is a shamanic practitioner, and he also works at the healing studio as a healer. So welcome, Alex.
Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I am so glad to be here. So let's dive into this technology that you and your wife, Yvette, had actually at the time were sharing with me. I don't even think you had purchased it at the time that you and I were speaking. I think you were moving in that direction. And I think you've got more than one now from what I understand, right? So let's talk a little bit about what this harmonic egg is.
Yeah, so the Harmonic Egg is a wooden chamber created with sacred geometry. And the inventor, her name is Gail Lynn. She's out of Colorado. And she's actually the visionary who put this Harmonic Egg together. And she got a spiritual download at the time to enhance the technology that she was doing with light therapy, and decided to add the music, to add sound, vibrational frequencies. And so she created this healing chamber, this wooden chamber that you can sit inside of. And it's kind of like a sound bath. It's a light and sound bath. It's your own personal experience. And it's pretty amazing.
So let me pull up, I'm going to share my screen here so we can show people who are watching what this looks like. So here's an image of the egg itself. So Alex, does this door right here, does that close you in so you're completely inside of it?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. You sit inside, the chair that's inside there, and then we rotate you back to zero gravity. Then we lock you in place, offer you a blanket, lift your feet up, and then surprisingly, the door closes perfectly to seal that egg up, and you're just sitting in a sideways egg-shaped chamber that, for the most part, it's really roomy. A lot of people, I want to say 98% of people that come through that have some kind of concern about being claustrophobic, once they get inside and see how much room it is, they're pretty amazed.
Yeah, like it looks pretty spacious in there. That looks awesome. Here, I'll bounce back. But so, okay, so you get into this enclosed chamber, and then so walk us through a session. What does this look like? When you get in there and you get all comfortable and you have your blanket on, and then the door closes, what happens next?
So then I put on specific color lights that are going to support you in whatever healing you came for. Different colors, and light therapy is designed to rebalance your body and help you heal whatever it is that you need the healing from. It also opens up all your chakras, and the sound also puts your brain into a theta state. So you go into this deep meditation state where I tell people it's similar to like Sunday morning when you wake up and you turn your alarm off and you're not really ready to wake up fully. and you can't go back to sleep. So you're in that little warm and fuzzy zone. It's that little dream state, right? Where all the good, stuff starts coming through. You start getting all these ideas. And so when your body hits that theta state, that's the state of deep meditation. And a lot of us, including myself, I didn't grow up learning how to meditate. It just wasn't, I don't think it was popular as it's starting to get now, holistically, for people who want another option to heal themselves other than pharmaceutical drugs, and people that have a belief that the body has its own innate ability to heal itself in the right conditions. So what people are doing is they're just getting multiple sessions of the Harmonic Egg that just keeps resetting the autonomic nervous system. And so when we keep resetting that autonomic nervous system, just like a chiropractic adjustment that takes several times to keep adjusting until finally the spine goes, oh, you want me to stay aligned. That's similar to the way it is with the Harmonic Egg. You just keep resetting your nervous system and keep resetting it. And every time you do that, you bring the body that has been stuck in fight or flight to some degree, you start bringing it back down into balance to where eventually you get your body to align with the state of rest and digest. And
yeah, that parasympathetic nervous system,
exactly,
getting that to kick in.
Yeah, so once it gets there to that state, I mean, then all of a sudden the body starts making its own adjustments. It makes all its own course corrections.
Oh, that's fantastic. So when you play music, is the music in sync with the colors and the light, or is it based off of the person? Like when someone comes in, do they say, okay, I'm suffering with insomnia or something along those lines, and then you pick a color pattern for them and a music frequency? How does it work? How do you know what to choose, I guess?
Yeah, so one of the beautiful things about being one of the egg guardians is that the inventor, she's been at this for a little over 12 years, and she's kind of somewhat perfected and dialed in what music and what instruments work for what. And so when you purchase an egg, if you're fortunate enough to be able to be selected to have an egg, and she comes and trains you, she gives you what she calls her Bible. And that's it's a starting point, and it has all the different sickness, illness, diseases that as a reference point, and all the things that has worked to help clients heal themselves from her practice. So we have been trained, and we have this book that we go as a base. But what we were also told was, as this journey unfolds, majority of us are going to be psychically in tune, and our intuition is going to be developed a little bit more, which is exactly what happened for me and for my wife. And we actually, this may sound weird for people that don't believe, but we actually get messages from the Christ consciousness that comes through the egg, and the invisible forces that are here to help us heal. They basically tell us what, you know what I mean? Like they'll tell us what they need, what color, if we just tune in. And sometimes, and it's so funny because when we first started, we would go by the book, and then we would be looking through the iPod to find, and all of a sudden that track would be missing. And then we would intuitively hear, play this, or our finger would just slide through and it'll hit a certain track. And then later, when we go back searching through, we would actually see the song that we originally tried to find, and it disappeared. Like literally went to another dimension and then came back after we chose the song I think that they were supposed to get. So now we just totally trust the process, and we always end up picking the perfect song, even if the song is a little bit intense, even if that frequency and that music is intense for somebody. Sometimes we have to go through a jarring experience every once in a while, because it's exactly what our body needs to heal. For example, you might have parasites in your body and not know it. And if we pick a specific color or a track, and we aggravate them, they get angry. Parasites get angry because they don't want to not exist. They don't want to not use you as a host anymore. So they're invested in staying alive and feeding off you. And so when you get in there, sometimes people will go home and they'll have maybe headaches, for a couple hours or whatever, or they might have an uncomfortable, feeling. I've had healers actually come in, And they'll have really, like I'll open the door, and 98% of the time when I open the door, you just see people's face light up, right? It's like a huge smile. They're like, oh my God, that was amazing. And then I'll have about 3 to 4% of people where they look at me when I open the door and they're bug-eyed. I could tell that it was probably a tough experience.
It was
and so I'll have healers that'll look at me and I'll go, how was it? And they're like, wow, that was intense, but in a way that I felt a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. Like I felt, but the cool thing about it is that majority of them, when they come out, they intuitively know that was the part of detoxing that out of their system. So if you're feeling agitated or you're feeling angry, it's you releasing that inside the egg so that you're getting it out of your field.
Yeah, it's like sifting. Yeah, sifting all of those lower vibrational emotions and energies to be released.
That's right. That's right. And so the people that have chronic emotional baggage from years that has already at the tipping point that I call, you're at that tipping point where you're just about to activate a Lyme's, a lupus, a cancer, you're right there. It's kind of like your guys are saying, all right, you've waited so long. Now we're going to have to start pulling some of this out of you. And it's not going to feel comfortable. But 95% of the time people come out as just a beautiful, relaxing, deep, tranquil experience that people love. So
yeah, that's neat. It's like almost like before you were talking about, it's almost like your higher self and the client's higher self are connecting. And that happens to me often in my quantum healing sessions as well. It's like, I don't always know what's going to happen. And I've even had this happen where before I even meet with the client, I'm already having downloads of information coming to me. I don't know if you're experiencing that with the egg or not, but
absolutely. As I'm driving in, I'll start getting insight, or even sometimes on a Sunday morning in that theta state, I'm already getting downloads for somebody that's going to be coming a week later. So it's so amazing to be able to have tuned into that and
that quantum field. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
How long is a session usually?
So they tested all of this before they actually started selling the harmonic eggs. And they found that 40 minutes of music is the sweet spot. So now all of our different centers all across the world, we do 40-minute sessions with 10 minutes of silence at the end.
Oh, interesting.
And that 10 minutes of silence is like an integration period. Some people actually love the 10 minutes of silence after the session, and they love the actual session itself. So it's really incredible, because when your body's in the vibrational frequencies for 40 minutes, as soon as it dies out, you're getting the contrast. So some people will feel waves of energy float, going through their body. Some people feel like they're levitating or floating or moving, you name it. I've heard, so many different experiences.
That is so cool. So let's talk a little bit about the music and the frequencies. I pulled up the website and I saw drumming on there, and I was like, oh, so what's the music sound like? What are some of the, the frequencies?
So when it comes to, what I like to do is I like to think of it more as instruments, because it's when you go back to the original sound healing, it's all about the instruments. Like each instrument, those frequencies are there to support you. Maybe one instrument can support you in liver cleansing. Another instrument, like piano, helps heal the heart. So every instrument focuses on something specific. And so Gail has pretty much dialed that in and has set it up in categories for us, so that once you get past what we call the first 3 sessions, your first 3 sessions are basically autonomic nervous system resets. It's just to get you acclimated. But if you have a specific condition you want to work on, it's usually the 4th, 5th, 6th session where we now aggressively start using these tracks to help you combat and heal whatever it is you specifically came here for. So drums would be used probably in the 5th or 6th session, because we've acclimated you now to sound healing. And so it can be really, drums are really intense.
And it rattles your whole body.
Yeah, drums are intense. They're
Especially if you're in the egg.
shamanic drumming can really take you places, even on a spiritual journey too.
So are some of the other tunes like tuning forks, or, you know, what are some, other than drums, what are some of the other things that?
Well, it's all recorded music that that Gail had. Probably 90% of our library. She paid producers and composers to create specific music for the Harmonic Egg. And the main thing that we love about this music is that it's not something she just pulled off of YouTube or just bought. She paid specific artists to compose this music with the intention to heal. So the music already has an intention, and it's to heal something specific. So every track that we have with whatever couple of instruments that are being used, they're specifically used for the intention to heal something specific for you. So there would be didgeridoos, sound bowls, like you said, tuning forks. Some of it is even crickets, live crickets from Mount Shasta, or
even ocean sounds probably too.
Yeah, exactly. Ocean sounds. We have dolphins. Sounds. Yeah, I mean, you name it. Every sound in there that has been researched for healing. A lot of these composers and these artists are using that because they have realized that that's their gift back to humanity. And so I love that she's partnered up with a variety of them and keeps searching for more.
Yeah,
she's always on the look for these talented musicians that use their talent to heal. And so she's partnered up with so many of them to create specific tracks for the Harmonic Egg.
that is so cool. So how does the color in the sacred geometry line up with the music? Is it flashing in the egg, or is it waving, or how does the color work in there?
That's a great question. A lot of people, they think they're going to get a light show when they're in there.
Yeah, that was my question.
And it's one light on top, one light at the bottom. And we have the option to pick 2 different color lights or the same color. And it all depends on what it is you're there for. So if you're there with a broken heart, if you're there to grieve, I might choose green to open up the heart chakra. I might choose a specific track for the lungs, because we hold grief in the lungs. So it all depends on why you're there and what tracks we're going to use and what specific colors we're going to use as well.
That is so cool. So who can go in this egg? Can pregnant women, babies, you know, does it matter? Can anyone go in the egg?
I haven't seen anyone who hasn't been disqualified to go in there, unless you can't get up inside there yourself. And even then, I've had a few people that were in wheelchairs where they had a caretaker just lift them up, set them in there, and you know, be able to experience it. But yeah, people ask, I have a pacemaker, can I go in? It's fine, it's music.
What
little
about
babies,
pets? Can pets go in?
Pets can go in. Specific centers have specific eggs just for pets.
That's cool.
But we also have remote sessions. So a lot of people will do distance sessions for their pets at home.
So how does a remote session work? Talk us through that a little bit.
So if you're familiar with the quantum field and quantum physics, energy doesn't know time and space. So it can be sent anywhere in the world, wherever you're at. So the eggs work the same way that Reiki healers can sit across from you on a Zoom call and send healing energy towards you. And the way it works is that we have you send us a picture of yourself, a current picture, and then we print it out and put your name, your birth name and your date of birth, and then we set it inside the egg, and then we ask what your intention is, and then we create our intention to match your intention, and then we ask like you said earlier, our guides and their guides to let them do the work, and then we close the door, and I text them saying, okay, in about 60 seconds, you're on. And then I turn it on and I close the door, and you just get your photo gets the session. But what's happening is the energy is being sent to you wherever you currently are in the world. So majority of the time we'll ask our clients, just go ahead and relax, rest, and you could be sitting on your couch or your love chair and put a blanket on yourself and close your eyes and either meditate or just sit quietly. And what's so profound is the messages I get, the text messages or the phone calls or the follow-up calls afterwards are like, oh my God. Like some people are like, I actually felt when it went on and when it turned off.
That is so cool.
And funny story, my mom, she fell about 3 months ago and hurt herself. And when she came back from the hospital, she was recovering there in the living room, watching TV. So I went to go visit her, and my wife was here at the center helping a client. And I texted my wife and said, hey, why don't you do an egg session for my mom? And it was the first time she's had one. So I took a picture of her. I got permission, obviously, from her. She said, yeah. I sent it to my wife. My wife prints it up, puts her date of birth on there, her name, puts it in the egg and starts it. Well, I'm having a conversation with my mom and my nephew. So it's a three-way conversation. Well, me and my nephews got on the conversation. We kind of took over the conversation. And when my nephew looked over at my mom, she was zoned out like this.
Really?
Like just zoned. Eyes closed and like her mouth open. And my nephew, he didn't know what was going on. He looked at me like, what's going on? I go, it's okay. She's in the egg.
She's in the egg. She's in the quantum field in the egg.
Field. And he started laughing. So he walked away. So then I sat quietly next to her, holding space in the living room. And then about 20 minutes later, she opens her eyes and she looks at me. And I go, Mom, it's okay. You're receiving the energy. Just allow yourself to receive. And then so she looked at me with this funny look. And then she took a sip of water. And then she closed her eyes and she went back in. She's like, that wasn't enough. It was so cool. I got to see, other than my own experience, I got to see what it looks like standing next to someone as they're receiving the energy.
That is so cool. I mean, it's similar to Reiki. It's similar when I do emotion code sessions on people. It's amazing when they give you permission and then you say, okay, I'm connecting here. I am, you know, and that's just so cool. So you guys, the healing studio is located in Santa Clarita, California, correct?
Yeah, we're just north of LA, right past the San Fernando Valley. If you've ever been to Magic Mountain, we're literally a mile away from Magic Mountain in Santa Clarita.
That's so cool. So if anyone's in that location or that area, they can come visit the healing studio. What other services do you provide there?
I do Reiki, and then I also do cutting cords and attachment removals. You know, just right. You know, I'm like this little kid in a candy store. Prior to having this newfound awakening a couple years ago, right when I met you, right around that time that I met you, I had been doing transformational trainings for teenagers and conscious parents, and was a life coach at that time for about 26 years. And during the pandemic, my calendar got shut down, so there was no more training room activity. So I decided to just stay home like a lot of people and just go inward or meditate. Well, that meditation, that first week was amazing.
Profound,
And profound. In that meditation, I started receiving messages and a connection to my higher self and my spirit guides. Like I was on this fast pass. And then I started receiving some messages through some channeling. And basically Spirit told me everything that I've been doing up to that point was prepping me for this transition as a shamanic healer. And they basically told me that I had been a shaman in many lifetimes before. And it was just a matter of me remembering because I chose it again in this lifetime. And so it kind of just, it just blasted me out into this really intense period of learning and awakening and activating, and the gifts, the everything just started open, just like this.
Yeah. And I remember that, Alex. I remember you were activated with your light language the same day I was activated with my sign language, light language. And now I speak it.
It was the same session.
It was the same session. And yours sounded so Native American, so shamanic. Like I was just in a trance with your light language. And I'm like, and I left that. I'm going to talk a little bit about it with Kelly tomorrow on our podcast, but I left that retreat and I was just with the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull, with meeting all of you, all of the activity that we were having there with ETs, Sasquatch. I mean, it was just off the chain. And that catapulted me into this massive awakening. I joke, it's like the summer of 2020 with Sasquatch and friends, because it catapulted me into all of these different modalities, as well as channeling and contact and light language and all of these quantum aspects of myself,
Yeah.
So
I remember we were like, it felt like you and I were like kindergartners on the first day, or like, hey, where are you from? And we were going to the same workshops, and I was in awe of watching and being an observer of the things that were happening for you, and you were probably watching things that are happening for me, but we were in it together, which was so, it was inspiring to see the people that were there who were kind of trusting this intuitive pull. Because that's all I was doing, is I just knew I needed to be there. Didn't know why.
Yep.
But I made plans and I committed to it and I went, and I'm so grateful because it was pivotal.
It was. And I think your story was similar to mine. It was like you weren't planning on going, and then boom, you just ended up going at the last minute. And that's how my story was too. And my friend had invited me, and he didn't even show. I didn't even end up seeing him because I ended up leaving the next day. So there was a reason. And I remember pulling into that area. It was in Kettle Falls, Washington, and it was so powerful. I pulled in and everyone was gathered around the crystal skull. And I'm like, what is this? And then immediately I felt this draw to that skull. And I heard in my mind's eye, welcome back. It's good to see you again. And I'm like, immediately a flash of me working with this skull in a past life, And so I've reached out to Bill. I want to get him on my show because I'd love to share that story, because it was so powerful for not only me, but for you, for many of us. I remember standing there watching everyone connect with that skull, and I was seeing auras. I was seeing so much stuff around people. And that was such a powerful experience. And I remember vividly you and I sitting there listening to the woman talking about the ant people. Mm-hmm. And you and I were just like, my body's buzzing. I feel something's happening. I'm speaking this language. What does it mean? I think you and I, we were like little kids in a candy store, because it was so new, but it was so exciting for us. And then we went on our merry ways, and then look how much we've grown over the last 2 years, both of us. And here we are sharing this story, 2 years later, and we are helping heal. We're helping raise the frequency of the planet, doing what we're doing. And we're also raising our own vibration as well.
Absolutely. And what's really amazing is watching people come through the door that in some way or another, they'll say to me, like, I don't know why I'm here. Or I'll ask them, how'd you hear about us? And they'll tell me some crazy, wacky story. Like, I was on a hiking trail, and I overheard somebody say the Harmonic Egg, and I just knew I needed to search it out. And so here I am. But it's so amazing to watch people that are being attracted to like energy. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the universe or our higher selves are communicating, and they're saying, go see Alex, Alex, or go see Tonya. I mean, they're sending people to us, and
like magnets.
It's so beautiful to just hold space, and hearing some of their stories, it sounds similar to mine. And it's just beautiful to be able to pay it forward as well.
It is. And you wonder if that egg is calling to people like that crystal skull was calling to us.
It's absolutely, it's absolutely calling people without a shadow of a doubt, because people will even say, both of our eggs, they have their own identities. Egg number one is divine female energy, and she named herself Queenie. Uh-huh. And the second egg, he's a more it's a masculine, no nonsense kind of energy. Like, let's just get to business. His name is B-Boy. So people will say when they come in, like, B-Boy was calling me. He's been calling me to come back to the egg. So people out of their own mouth tell me that, But I intuitively know that they're bringing people in because people that are either ready for their next activation spiritually, but as well as the people that are suffering. I think they're the consciousness that's here to help humanity is hearing their cries.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're probably just subtly sending the messages saying, well, why don't you try something different?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're somehow going online, doing a search, they resonate with what we're up to, and so they'll show up. And it's so beautiful to have people come and go, I'm new to this and I don't know. And then to have them have an experience and then they keep coming back, and to watch them keep plugging in is amazing.
That's awesome. And it's like, it makes me excited about all these new technologies that are in the forefront for us,
Yes.
you know, the med beds and the harmonic eggs, and working in a hospital for nearly 15 or 15, 20 years. It would be super cool. I got excited just seeing Reiki practitioners coming into hospice and into the intensive care units. And now to potentially visualize and see these harmonic eggs in the intensive care units, or these med bed technologies that are obviously secret space program, and our military has been using this technology for a long time. But it's really exciting to see these things start to roll out, and allowing people to expand their consciousness in a way that opens them up to these more quantum ways of healing. And I know that can be difficult at first, because I know for me, it was like, you're sending me Reiki. Okay. You know, at first, right? But like you said, with your mom, you witnessed her going in and out of that theta state, and that you cannot deny that when that happens, you know. And I love that there's an option to do the egg remotely. I think that's fantastic. And so say, for example, somebody wants to physically go in an egg, but they don't live in Santa Clarita, California. Is there a way for them to find where eggs are located in the United States or even in the world? Is there a website they can go to?
Absolutely. If you just do a Google search and type in harmonic egg, Gail's website is the main website that comes up. And when you go to her site, she has all the locations. So you can type in your zip code and it'll show you the closest one. The cool thing is that, you know, there's maybe a half dozen eggs every month popping up in cities all over the place, because it's this phenomenon that's happening, that people are just resonating with it. It makes sense. It's creating results. And so a lot of people want to be a part of it, or they're getting that calling.
Yeah. And they're feeling it, because I feel like, especially as, you know, the frequency holders or the light holders, we are also being called to activate our light codes. Right. And I'm feeling that. I think just me starting this podcast almost daily, I'm connecting with other light workers, starseeds. And it's just like I'm just activating the heck out of myself and everyone around me. And then we're just transferring these light codes back and forth. And so it's almost like it's our own little quantum egg, you know, that you and I are in right now, just transferring these codes. And I'm sure I'm picking up codes from that egg, because it's like right behind you. I can see the picture, you know, so I'm 100%. Sure I'm even picking up that, you know.
100%, 100%. Yeah, actually, my daughter did, maybe about a year ago, my daughter did a video on TikTok, and the TikTok had a filter that detected a vibrational frequency or energy. So she held up a pen in the video, and the pen had no energy, but her hands, everything that had energy was pulsating. And so she had the harmonic egg on with the door closed, and so she walked to the camera and she opened the door, and you can see inside with the lights, everything was pulsing, because that filter was acknowledging that there was vibrational energy in there. And so I don't know, she got a lot of followers and a bunch of people that were making comments. Well, I never really paid attention, but about a year later, she asked me to go on and download the video. So I went on, and I just happened to scroll through the video, and I started to see people go, oh my God, as soon as the door opened, I felt the energy with me. And this is on video.
That's so cool.
And it was a snippet. It was literally like a 30-second snippet, but like every 8th or 12th comment, people were saying, I felt the energy, or I felt a wave hit me as soon as you opened the door. And it just goes to show you that in the quantum field, we're all connected instantly.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
It would be cool if Gail incorporated some light language in some of those musical tracks that she uses.
Right.
That would be, I mean, I'm sure she's got that in her, you know, on her radar at some point.
Oh my God, she's getting so many downloads, and probably a lot of other people are getting downloads that are passing it to her, she probably can't keep up with all the new stuff that the directions that she, wants to go. And I'm sure she's trying to filter out which ones are next and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and just keeping up with the production of the eggs, if people are buying them that much. And
That's
I'm
right.
sure people are buying them for their homes, people are buying for healing centers like you guys, so it's going to be really cool to see eggs in every city, where you can just go just like a sauna or get a massage or, wherever. I've got a wellness center here, and I'm going to share this information about the Harmonic Egg with them because they're very open to these therapies. They have, ozone saunas, which I've gone to, which are awesome. And it's very similar. You go in and say, okay, here's my issue. And then they plug in a code, and then the sauna, starts to do what it needs to do. And so that's just fascinating. So how can people reach you if they want to come, schedule a session at the healing studio? Is there a website, or how do people get to you?
Yeah, so our website is really simple. It's healing.studio. There's no .com, just our .com is studio. So it's healing.studio.
Okay.
And then go on the website, and they can either, after they're done looking at the information and if they're done resonating with what we're up to, they can just click on the book now, and it takes them to our booking site on Vagaro, and they can look at any dates available and open times and just book it. So you can book a physical Harmonic Egg session, a double session if you come with someone else. Mm-hmm. You can do a distance session, you can do a Reiki session, and then we have some of the other services that we offer. One cool thing I wanted to mention to you about Reiki versus the Harmonic Egg, even though it's similar in sending that healing energy, as a Reiki practitioner, I have to tune in and allow that energy to come through me, right? If I'm not feeling good, or if I'm not clean and clear and I'm not well, then I could be projecting some of my stuff onto the client, which every practitioner understands that, they know that, they honor that, and they won't take clients if they're not well. The cool thing about the egg is that it's neutral. You know what I mean? It's pure. It's like your angels, your guides, that energy is coming straight through this organic chamber that's made out of wood, redwood. So there's no middleman to project anything in there. It's just coming in clean.
That's cool. So in between sessions, do you have to cleanse the energy of the egg, or does it do it on its own?
No, well, if it can do it on its own, but I intentionally go in there after every session. And the reason why is because in the very beginning, I've missed a couple where we're really busy, and I've had people sit in there and I go, it feels weird in here. And I go, what do you mean? They're like, whoever the last person was, I can feel their energy. And it happened, I let it slip in the very beginning when we first opened up. And so I already now know, like, I have to go in there and clear it. And interesting enough, I clear it with my rattle.
Oh yeah, sound.
My rattle and my bells, shamanically, but I use my light language.
Oh, that's awesome.
I use my light language to clear the eggs, and I mean, instantly it's cleared and neutralized again. It's brought back to be reset for the new person. And then intentionally, I put my own love into that space and bless it with the intention to have people get what they came here to receive. And then I ask my guides, and then I ask their guides, and then when I'm done, when I close that door, I leave it up to the higher source. I leave it up to God to come in and be in service. A lot of times, we have to remind ourselves to get our ego out of the way, and it's not us that's doing we're just the
vessel. Yeah,
we're just the tool. That's it. Yeah.
That is so cool. Is there anything else that you want to share that maybe we haven't touched on, or that the audience may want to know about the egg? Any really cool testimonials that you remember that came up, but without sharing their names, but any?
Well, I think just there's a lot of them, but I think the most recent and the one, because I'm always getting wowed on some of the stuff that comes back as a gift back to us as a testimonial. But recently I had a lady who was hyperventilating on the phone. We had a sound bath, a live sound bath, and it was a group sound bath. And she called me about an hour before, and she was hyperventilating, and she's like, I don't think I can make it. My anxiety is really high. And I said, well, that's what the sound bath is for, is to get that release. And she says, but just the thought of being there with other people, that's even making it go higher. So what I told her was, I helped her do some breathing exercise to calm her down for the night. And I said, why don't you come in tomorrow for an egg session? So she came in. When I did the pre-conversation, I asked her, what level is your anxiety? 0 to 10, 10 being the highest. She says, I'm probably at an 11.
Oh, wow.
Well, I told her, I said, you're probably going to need about 4 to 8 sessions to get what I call a base. A base is where, almost like that chiro adjustment, where you keep adjusting until finally it locks in place.
It sticks, yeah.
and believe it or not, session to session, every 4 to 7 days, she was coming in, and we just kept grounding her and just resetting and clearing. I did a couple cord cutting for her, and she just went from an 11 to an 8 to a 6 to a 4 to a 3. And probably about her 7th session, she just looked at me and she goes, I cannot believe how great I feel. She goes, I've been carrying this anxiety with me off and on for about 2 years. And so I told her, now you just need maintenance, either maintenance once a month or once every 3 months, or when you have something that triggers you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do the healing, because there's healing on the back end where you're trying to reverse the symptoms. And then there's healing on the front end. For me, healing on the front end is doing the conscious awareness growth and relearning distinctions so that you're not causing the stress in the first place. So when you understand certain distinctions in life and universal principles, you're not reacting to something you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
You're not resisting things that you don't want, because you've already caused that awakening and that awareness. So you're not harming yourself on the front end to have to go and get the healing on the back end. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of empathize with her because I'm a transmuter. I transmute energy. And when I go to sound baths sometimes before they start, I'm transmuting the energy of the room and the people there and the anxiety and the stress. So sometimes I have to say no. My friends will be like, you want to go to a sound bath? I'm like, no, I'm good. You know, if I know my energy is good, but there's a potential she's a transmuter. And I'm actually going to start having people on my show that can talk about some of these things, like what's a grid worker, what's a transmuter, what's all these different varieties of star seeds, and so she probably cleanses the land, cleanses the collective. And that's why her anxiety was probably at 11, because that wasn't all hers,
Yeah.
But that's where the egg comes into play. That's where the egg can help assist with that, and I'm sure if she had animals, those animals were probably anxious as well, because they try to transmute the energy, that we pick up too. So
that's another thing that I've noticed since I started this journey, was getting messages, spiritual messages, reminding me that a lot of our pets have chosen us to heal us.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beautiful service of them healing us, they're also taking and absorbing some of that too. So they need healing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're grieving, or if we're feeling sad and your dog sits on your lap, it's absorbing that from you to as a way of saying, this is how much I love you, so I'm going to take this because it's too overwhelming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not clearing or cleansing or doing some kind of healing for your pet, then it's no surprise that after 8, 12, 15 years, they develop hip pain. They're getting now the sickness and illness and disease because they've been absorbing it from you for so many years. And so when a lot of times when people bring their pets in or they call for sessions, I have to have that conversation with them and remind them that, because a lot of people don't understand that.
So true, Alex, because I'll work with clients and then they'll tell me, my dog has kidney failure. I'm like, it's fear. It's fear. You are picking up on fear. Your dog is transmuting your fear. And so we've got to work on you with your fear, and then eventually your animal too, So it's so funny how we're like mirrors with our pets, and our pets, I can immediately, when someone tells me something's wrong with their pet, I can immediately say, someone in your household has this trapped emotion, and I know you can do that too, because you know that we trap certain emotions in certain areas of our body, and our animals are almost like projecting that back to us. Like, if your dog has asthma, then oftentimes maybe you're carrying grief or something along those lines. We've got to heal your heart and your lungs, and then eventually it will transmute through the dog. So, or the animal. Yeah. So it's kind of funny how you can correlate how your animals are feeling to what you're not processing, in your own body.
That's a great show, I think, for you to have.
Funny you say that. Next Friday, I've got a gal coming on to talk.
There you go.
Uses color and light to heal animals. So her name is Animal Ray, and I'm really excited to have her on because I immediately was like, we've got to talk about this because people are not correlating their own issues with their pets' issues.
That's right.
Yeah, super funny. Well, this was awesome, Alex. I'm so glad that you came on, and I'm excited. Maybe I'll jump on and schedule a remote session with the Harmonic Egg. Honestly, this whole time we've been chatting, my whole body's been buzzing. So it's almost like it's been communicating with me.
It's like, be careful, don't say the word harmonic egg, because then it's like, huh?
It's like, I'm here. What codes do you need? Well, this was super fun. Thank you so much, Alex. Is there anything you'd like to share before we close?
No, I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing, and just acknowledge you for taking the time to have these kinds of conversations, because I've done it in the past, and I know what a time commitment it is and a lot of sacrifice. And even though it's fun, and even though it fuels us, right? Because it activates us every time we get in conversation. But it is time consuming, and it's a lot of work. And I just want to thank you for stepping in and doing that.
Well, thank you. And I send that right back at you, because you're doing some awesome stuff with people. And, we are all working together to raise the frequency of this planet. And I can feel it with every cell in my body.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Alex.
You deserve to navigate your life as an empath in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the Emotion Code, visit my website at www.thesoulcafe.org.